ruling coalition, the CDC, and of course he's Councillor Kamil Bala. Mr. Spokesman, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Soba. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the excellent job you continue to do here at ELBC, ensuring that our people all across almost all of the 15 counties, I believe, have an opportunity to know what is happening in our country, in every other part of the country. I think it's exceedingly important at this point in time so that truthful information, validated information can come to our people. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
Good. Now, Mr. Minister, that was almost Mr. Minister. Mr. Spokesman, just yesterday, conducted an interview with you on the line, and you sounded very strong and very expressive of your discontent over the way things were proceeding in the face of, in the eyes of the government, and of course you called on the government to take action, because you said the government has that constitutional responsibility to protect lives and properties. Now, let me just read this press statement, and then we'll begin from there, because I want to ask whether that has addressed the concerns you have. The joint security response to baseless rumors of violence. The attention of the joint security is drawn to rumors circulating on social media and also traditional media outlets by unscrupulous individuals who are maliciously spreading lies about the outbreak of violence in Monrovia with the intent to instill fear ahead of the announcement of the election results by the National Elections Commission. The joint security reaffirms its commitment to protect the peace and the security of the state and calls on all adherents to go about their normal business while waiting for the National Elections Commission to announce the official results. The joint security warns that anyone attempting to undermine or threaten the peace and the security of the state will face the full weight of the law. The media is urged to uphold its obligation of factual reporting and eschew the dissemination of fake news, deliberate disinformation, and misinformation and disinformation which runs contrary to their ethics. Persons caught promoting and perpetrating acts of violence will be held accountable under the law. Signed, H. Moses Carroll Sr. on behalf of the Joint Security. Does this press statement released yesterday, in fact it came just a few hours after you lambasted yesterday, does it address your concerns now?
Thank you, Sobo. I think that's a very good question and a good place to start. I'll start by saying and speaking to Liberians all across this country, not only seditious and reactions and those who follow the president, but also to unity partisans and to those who we consider to be the no positions, those that are in the middle. I think as responsible citizens at this point in time, it is important that we are all preaching peace. It is exceptionally important that as leaders of political entities or of the different campaigns, that our messaging is geared towards ensuring that there is peace and stability in our country. Soba, you know the history of this country very well. I'm sure a lot of the people who are in the Unity Party and other places know very well the history of this country. We had a brutal civil war here. People died. People were displaced. This country has gone through the worst of human degradation. We still have a lot of structural challenges that are pressing here on account of the war that came to this country and the violence that was meted out against our people. And so an electioneering process should not be and cannot be and must not be the basis for inciting violence. So your question about this statement from the Joint Security, I would say that it is I'll say it is an encouraging first step. Encouraging first step.
It means that it partially addresses your concerns. Now,
yeah, partially, very partially addresses the concerns that I raised yesterday. Mind you, I told you, like, I speak on behalf of the campaign. I have a responsibility to the campaign of His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah and the hundreds and thousands of partisans who support the president, who are behind him because of his vision. Now, government is not necessarily the campaign. I don't work for government. I left government. I am full-time on this campaign, performing a role that I believe is important to moving this country forward. The government as a structure still exists, still functions, should function. Law enforcement, the Ministry of Justice, the Liberia National Police, all of these are entities of government with specific roles to perform. And that's why you see there are specific rules that require that they are not actively involved with politics. You don't see the police donning political gear. Yeah, because there's a reason for that. Because whilst we who are political are campaigning, they maintain a certain distance and position to ensure that law and order exists.
Now, so what are you saying that this joint security, press statement only partially address your concerns and not fully?
It does, because look, for many Liberians, and I speak again, not just as a sedition, but for ordinary Liberians out there. For example, look at yesterday. On yesterday, I received a number of calls about people saying that there was a demonstration or there was some outbreak of violence in Monrovia. I don't know if you heard that as well yesterday. And all of a sudden, people started to clamor, and some people started to leave the street. I got calls, people saying, "Oh, Kanye, what's going on?" I had a friend call me from abroad. What are they saying happening in Liberia at the moment? And I had to tell her, I said, look, I mean, I don't know where you are getting this information from, but where I am situated, there's no violence going on. There's nothing happening here. People are going about their normal businesses. And I even went ahead to post that particular position on my Facebook page as a way of allaying what I consider to be the burgeoning fear that people had. Now, the reason I continue to say that this statement is a necessary first step, is encouraging, but it does not respond totally, is because of this. We have had several incidents, and people become brave when you do not take decisive steps to address past transgressions. There have been a series of past transgressions against the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. And yesterday, when I was even highlighting it, one of the guys was saying, we're crying baby. And I said, no, because this is a democracy, and the president is not a dictator, he's a Democrat. So therefore, when there are transgressions, we go to the rule of law in order to address them. These are the kinds of things that are happening in our country. And I think if we have started expeditiously the Foya incident, where is the report from Foya? Our partisans were brutally murdered in Foya on tape. Do you know, Sobo, when we talk about the free and fairness and credibility of election results, it's also about the climate in which people go to the polls.
Sure.
If partisans in Foya come to the conclusion that because they wear a blue shirt, they can be killed, and that nothing will come out of an investigation as to their killing, who tell you they are going to come out to vote en masse again? When those who commit those acts can be seen freely walking in the community despite taking human life, who tell you they are going to participate freely? The Foya killing has passed. We have not seen any redress for law enforcement. Like I said, I speak on behalf of the campaign. I speak on behalf of our partisans who are risking their lives and their liberties to go out there and support the president. So if people die in Foya on tape, for heaven's sake, we have a video to that effect. What has the government done or the requisite entity done to find a report? Foya passed, nothing has happened. The little boy was
But did you follow up with the investigators?
Is it our responsibility now to be following up with investigators?
Because you cared about your partisans and they were killed, you saw that it's quite necessary to hear from the investigators.
Well, I'm making a public follow-up right now by this statement. I'm making a public follow-up, and I did so before, and I've been doing so. And it is because these actions are not taken. That's why you saw the presidential motorcade invaded or obstructed during the closing of our campaign. Those who were there will tell you what transpired. People blocked the motorcade. So the driver was injured on the motorcade. Now we are saying that it is important to preserve the peace.
Now, what sort of step you wanted the John Security to take? Just just not issuing press statement, but what sort of step? What sort of time?
For example, I expected that press statement to also be updating us about the status of the investigation in Lofa. I expected that press statement to also be informing about the status of the violence in District 9 and 10, where our partisans were hijacked simply because they knew we were coming outside that day to have a meeting. They jumped from the Unity Party people, jumped from their fence, and there was an altercation. Where is the status of that report? I expected the press statement to also to be telling us what happened on the Japanese freeway when the presidential motorcade was obstructed and people got injured. What is the status of that investigation? Now, these are all dangerous and flagrant violations of the law for which there are penalties. What is the status? They should be telling us, were people arrested? If they were not arrested, what did the investigation find? Are they not to blame? Are they to blame? What are they going to do? We know nothing. And this is wrong. And that is why people are emboldened to sit within the confines of their comfortable homes in the United States of America and just write anything on Facebook inciting our people
now, so
here on Facebook.
Do you think the statement released by the John Security last evening, do you think it also addressed those individuals who make a reference to their actions sitting in the diaspora and spreading lies and rumors? Do you think that also address it?
Well, I think it sounds a caveat, but if I'm thinking as a lawyer and I'm looking to attribute responsibility, these are people associated with a political entity. These are frontliners for a political entity. For example, and correct me if I'm wrong, when Yunjin Fangon posts that the National Elections Commission is meeting somewhere with partisans of the CDC to hijack elections, that is direct interference and incitement that can lead to violence.
Surely.
He's threatening our life. He's exposing our partisans also to threats. Now, this man was named as campaign spokesperson of the Unity Party. Who is responsible for his action? It is the Unity Party. Have they condemned anything? A few days ago, the EFF came up. We support the Unity Party, and they said that there will be retributions if the results do not mirror what they expect. Have there been any condemnations from the Unity Party? Zero. What has the Ministry of Justice done regarding what I call a brazen threat that is actionable in law? What have they done? Zero yet. No update from them. And these things continue, and people continue to threaten the peace. Now, when I made this point yesterday, someplace else, somebody was saying, oh, now you guys are crying, baby. I said, no. You should be thankful that we have a president who respects peace, has a history of peace, a peace ambassador, who is now willing to risk the peace and stability of this country to prove any kind of point. Because I know in the U.S. that they sit now, that Vanguard sits, that Stanton sits with his own network, that Richardson sits also, where they reside. They will never attempt to do what they are doing to this country. Lying to our people all across this country, giving fake information across the country. For example, they sit there and they say they've won the elections. How can you win an election that you've been struggling to maintain even an equal posture as the mighty CDC?
So speaking from your background as a lawyer, what sort of initial action do you think the government needs to take against those people?
I would say starting with the Fangon and his repeated threats to our peace. Fangon is a stated and documented operative of the Unity Party. The leadership of the Unity Party needs to be cited and put on record about Fangon's action. There is a principle in law called respondeat superior. When you act on behalf of an entity, some of the attribution of your actions can be labeled against that entity. Fangon does not speak as Fangon. He speaks as spokesperson of the Unity Party campaign. He was named as such, unless I'm wrong, unless he has no formal association. But if he does, then there is attribution to the Unity Party. And the fact that leaders of the party, instead of condemning these kind of vitriolic statements, are also making similar statements tells you that probably it's Unity Party policy.
So you think leadership of the party needs to be invited by the state security?
I think they should be invited and asked to take particular actions against Fangon. Or they themselves might be the ones instigating Fangon to make these statements, or instigating Stanton Witherspoon to be making these kinds of insightful statements in our space. And I know there's this whole thing about freedom of speech, and I'm a champion for that. I believe it's important to have a multiplicity of ideas. Let's compete on the field and let the people buy what they want to buy. But there comes a point where speech cannot be used to injure the peace of our people. When you start to incite, for example, when the United Party chairman in Nimba County goes on the voice of Gumpa and tells the people of Nimba that they have already won elections and the government is planning to rig elections, that is not freedom of speech. That is incitement. You have a county of over 300,000 plus people who are voting in a particular way, and you go and lie to them that somebody is trying to steal their mandate. That's a recipe for disaster. What has state security done since those kinds of action? It's not about freedom of speech. It's about what you say and how it can impact our people.
Now, Mr. Councilor Kandu Bala, is your team, the campaign team, planning to document your concerns and submit things to the state security? Because you raised a couple of concerns regarding the outcome of the investigation. Up to current, nothing has been said about that. The issue of people still, issuing threats and not, stronger action being taken against those individuals. So, are you intending to document your concerns now to the
like I said, right? The statement from the Joint Security is a necessary, is an encouraging first step. So I think that serves as a breather or a buffer to say to us at the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change, let's see what they are about to do. It's important not just for us, but these families who lost lives in Lofa County, who just because they decided to vote for CDC, they deserve closure. They deserve to know that the perpetrators of that heinous violation against their brother, father, whomever the relationship is, will be brought to book. They deserve to know that. What is happening now since, I don't know how many weeks ago, when this guy was dragged out of his home and killed in public glare. What is happening? There's another situation as well. And it's so important because that's how people in this country label people, and people get killed for no reason. Just the other day again, you had this guy, there's some podcast, I don't know whether he's in Liberia or abroad, stating that the president, imagine you, the president of the Republic of Liberia, had sent a chapter inviting Superintendent Kai Fale and other generals, so to speak, to come to Monrovia in order to engage in violent activities. I don't know if you heard this. And this guy went on and on, railing against the people of Grand Jeddah, how Kai Fale is coming to town because they're going to wreak violence in Liberia. And we know what they're trying to do. The same thing of creating friction and fear between Grand Jeddah and Nimba County, that's what they're trying to, that's the propaganda they want to rely on in order to incite people in Nimba to vote a certain way. But political points aside, we know what that kind of dangerous and false propaganda can do. It can incite the people. And not only that, you are putting the people of Grand Jeddah lives at risk.
Sure.
At risk. Because when you start to demonize a whole group of people just for lies, just because you want votes in a particular place, that is dangerous. What is Joint Security doing about these things? This is about elections. This is about how you go into elections in a free, fair, and transparent environment.
It seems the way you speak and the way you are very expressive this morning, it seems that the campaign team is not happy with the performance of the Joint Security.
What I would like to say generally is that we have a duty as a campaign team to our partisans. For example, when I wake up in the morning and I am inundated by almost 100 calls from partisans who are asking me, we just heard on a network that somebody was brought in from Grand Jeddah to inflict violence. Is this true? That is very troubling for me. It's important for us to dismiss these outright and bold-faced lies and allay the fears not only of our partisans, but of Liberians generally. When I wake up to calls that ask me, somebody said in Nimba that the elections is won and the president wants to rig the elections. What do you think that occurs to me? It's very dangerous. You can incite people. So the campaign is concerned and we must respond. When people start lying out here, you know, that all of these things are happening in the public space. All right? It's important as a campaign that we address them. So and that's why we're doing it very robustly. But beyond addressing them, because this is where your platform is so instrumental, we're speaking to people all across the country. They know these are lies. No election has been won. There's no intention to rig election. Interestingly, the results were released yesterday. Now we see that they are hailing those results. But day before yesterday, they were threatening the people of Liberia that there will be war if results didn't look like what they want. So this is the kind of irresponsible leadership we're talking about. It is important for us to draw that to the attention of our Liberian people and also of state security. They have a duty. They must perform.
Now, so let's get it, let's get it organized. You won or systematic. You want the state security to begin inviting out the leadership of the UP, the Unity Party, because you believe that former Deputy Information Minister Eugene Fagon is connected to the party, is linked to the party. So with all the statements he's making, threatening the peace and all of that, inciting violence, the leadership of the Unity Party needs to be invited.
I cannot tell state security whom to invite and what to do. They know how to do their jobs. I'm just saying they are supposed to do their jobs. They are, look, if we as the CDC were making those same reckless and irresponsible statements today, you would have seen the difference in this country today. All right? I still remember when they came with this lie that Mayor Koji, who was sitting down somewhere by himself, not bothering anybody, they slammed a lie. Somebody sat in the comfort of the United States, concocted a lie, and said Mayor Koji was responsible for breaking into the home of the accused lady at Temple of Justice now, former Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scott. Immediately, SG Koji was invited. He had to go to the police station. He had to sign a written statement at the police station. Why were they so eager to have Chemekoji appear and sign a statement? On the basis of somebody who sat in the United States and concocted a lie. But today, we're receiving bold-faced lies staring at us in our face. And what are they doing?
And no one's being divided.
What are they doing? It has to. That's what I'm saying. I don't work for government. I speak on behalf of the campaign. I speak on behalf of the interests of our partisans. I speak on behalf of the interests of the president. Insofar as the campaign is concerned, I'm separate from government. Government has to do its job. Just how government will protect the rights of the Unity Party or any other party. Seditions, reactions also got blood. They must do what is right. It's important.
Now, let me take you into the latter part of the ECOWAS Commission statement. The ECOWAS Commission released a press statement just a few days ago, and let me just read the latter part of it, which is very important. The ECOWAS Commission further cautions all stakeholders, including political leaders, as well as the National Elections Commission, the security services of Liberia, that ECOWAS, the AU, and the international community will hold them accountable for any actions that may lead to violence and instability. What's your take on this very strong statement from the ECOWAS Commission?
I think that's a beautiful statement. And without saying that I speak on behalf of the National Campaign Manager, because I know he has also read that statement, and those are similar thoughts that have been shared and that we've discussed before, Honorable Eugene Nangwe, I can say that we are in consonance, full consonance with that statement. Look, so let's say this. The CDC has a history. The CDC was an opposition political party for 12 unbroken years in this country. All right? And we know the conditions that exist in the opposition. We were oppressed, partisans were killed, people died, people were beaten. Severally, our chairman of our party was hauled and dragged to jail on several occasions, on Bakaros, Gray, and others. So there are scars to bear for being opposition. We don't want that situation to be what happens now, because we've been in that position before, and we will wish that position on no one else. On the contrary, it was the United Party that perpetuated those conditions against us for 12 years when we were in opposition. It's important to point that out. And that is why we will not allow such conditions to exist. For example, when the president became president, we're talking about freedom of speech. It was he who decriminalized libel and slander, meaning on public officials. That when you say something negative about public officials, they can just drag you to court and put you in jail. The United Party for 12 years was in this country. They did not decriminalize that law. They hauled a lot of people to jail just for speaking their mind and the truth about our democracy. So we are in consonance with that statement. It's important that all of those who are involved with the electioneering process perform their role. There are two ways you perform. It's either by commission or by omission. By commission, you already do something that is wrong. I think the penalty should follow. By omission, if you have a duty to perform and you do not perform, you are also complicit. There is a duty to perform and they should perform.
Okay, you're listening to the Super Morning Show rated on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. Our guest here this morning is the campaign spokesman, the official spokesman of the coalition for the coalition campaign team, Councillor Kandu Bala. Now let's go into your performance file, Councillor Bala. If I don't ask this question, I'm sure I want to do myself justice. Now, I don't want to do myself justice. Well, what is coming out of the National Elections Commission, Councillor Bala? What do you think about the performance of the campaign team?
Well, I would like to rephrase that question. It is not the performance of the campaign team, it's the performance of the Liberian people. Because what the campaign team does is barely to encapsulate.
No, you were leading it. You were leading.
We are still leading. We're not where.
No,
we are leading.
What I'm saying, the campaign team was leading the entire campaign.
We are still leading the process.
Fine.
All right.
So whatever is coming out of the National Elections Commission should have some link or some responsibility of the campaign.
I absolutely agree. But I would think that it is
how do you, Mr. Councillor Bagbala? My question is, I'm not going to rephrase my question. How do you see the performance of the campaign team?
Okay, let's leave the rephrasing. I think the campaign did excellently well. And what we see are the expressions of what the Liberian people believe. Look, the president did dramatically well in these elections. And I'll tell you why. You see, in a democracy, when you look at popular appeal, or you look at popular approval, is about how your message in your personality, in your development resonates across the country. And not necessarily in pockets of the country. On that basis, if you go to the 15 counties, in each of those counties, President Weah has made a very strong showing and case in terms of how he's performed. Even in places that were traditionally considered to be strongholds. For example, look at Lofa County today. We have done dramatically well in Lofa. 7% in 2017. Almost at 27% today in 2023. That's over a 300% increment in terms of popular approval for the president. And I tell you, if there will be a second round, that percentage will go up because the people in Lofa are clear in terms of what the president has brought to the table. Look at Nimba. We did dramatically well in Nimba. Nobody should tell you otherwise. From 7% also in 2017, we are around 21 to 22% in Nimba. A 200% increment in approval for the president. All right? Look at Grand Bassa. We are leading in Grand Bassa. All right? Back in the days, in 2017, when Councillor Bronsky was alive, he always carried Bassa. We came in second. Today, who's carrying Bassa? The Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change, as represented by the president. Look at Margibi as well. We're battling in McGibby. Look at Bond County. We're leading in Bond County. I don't want to mention the Southeast because people say it's a foregone conclusion. The president has dramatically performed in the Southeast. Even in the Western region, bombing Cape Mount and Bapolu. What are the results in Bapolu? They won by about 1,000 votes in Bapolu. That's what the NEC is reporting. 16,000 to 15,000 from the president. He's trended there. The same thing in bombing. The same thing in Cape Mount. So when you ask about performance, the president as a political actor, what he has demonstrated is that there is popular appeal all across the country. On the contrary, if you look at them, you will see that in aspects of the country, they can barely go above 10%. That tells you the tempo of the people towards him. The president can go to Lofa County, he will get a rousing reception because people in Lofa County, a huge portion of the population in Lofa County believe in his policy and his leadership. But they cannot go to other parts of the country and receive similar acclamation. So as a party and as a campaign, I think we performed dramatically well. The president has resonated across the country. Do the analysis. It's there.
Okay, now, so let's hear from you as a spokesperson of the campaign team, because when you speak, the campaign team speaks. What do you say to your followers, your supporters, especially in the face of what is happening now with this seesaw battle? In other words, your partisans are concerned. What do you say to them? Because they are some are very upbeat, and some are still, not yet, not upbeat as the others. What do you say to them?
Well, you see, these are electioneering processes, and understandably, there will be degrees of concern from our partisans. But every step along the way, because my role is not just about communicating the ideals and the gains of the president.
Surely.
It's also about communicating the campaign's position, but it's also about speaking to our partisans so that they are aware of where we are as a campaign and how they remain energized to engage with the process. I can say to our partisans very emphatically, without a shadow of a doubt, that we've done exceedingly well in these elections. Given what was brought before us, given the challenges that were put before us, given the wicked lies that were put on us, that even as we speak, are continuing to be marshaled against us. Given the fact that we went into Enimba County, despite the fact that these are people who were in bed with the president for 5 of the 6 years he served as president, and they departed the campaign for personal reasons 1 year to the process, because the president had entrusted them to take development to the people.
Surely.
Despite that, we are still trending in Nimba County. I can tell you, no other political actor has more popular appeal than the president. And there is no basis. Somebody come out and say, there is no basis for a sedition to worry, for a reaction to worry, for a Bakubayes to worry.
So in other words, you are assuring them of a win.
I am telling you that, look, I don't want to make a certain statement. People say, I'm also falling into the trap of those who want to announce their own results and certificate themselves as winners.
So why are you assuring your party?
We are respectful of the National Elections Commission guidelines. We will refrain from saying we have won. But we can say to our partisans across the 15 counties that our campaign is alive and well, and that we are on course.
Okay.
We are on course. This is an energized campaign. This is an agile campaign. And look, the president, if you do the analysis keenly, let the dust settle. And we'll take some time and we'll do that. If you do the analysis keenly, you see the president has generated more appeal across the 15 counties than any other candidate in these elections. The president has now gone beyond 20% in any county. Check the results. He has not. Some of them, 10%, 11%. He has not dropped below 20% in a single county. That tells you popular appeal. All right? So there's no basis for a sedition or reaction to be in worry.
Okay, so before I open the lines again, let me ask about the position of the campaign team concerning the performance or the operations of the National Elections Commission. How do you see the commission performing?
I think that for the most part, these are very challenging elections. Holding an election, going across the country, particularly during the rainy season, where roads are difficult, impassable almost, transporting materials. Let's not kid ourselves that it's an easy task. So just the logistical angle, the managerial angle of being able to marshal the bureaucracy of the Elections Commission and to deliver the election is super challenging. And I think they've done a good job of executing. We should give Madam Lasana and her team a pat on the back, that they've done well. But are there gray areas? Indeed, there are gray areas. And those are some of the areas I began to cite before. I think, for example, all of the political parties, we signed the Farmington Declaration that require us to be non-violent, to de-escalate our rhetoric, not to be, inciting violence, and to respect the process. But since the beginning, and they, the National Elections Commission, they are the umpires of this process. They are the key regulators. Because everything that happens in the ambit of election is election related. I think they could have done more in terms of responding to these issues. I don't know, maybe it's because we are the ruling party and they don't want to be seen, as being supportive of the ruling party. But you can penalize us for being the ruling party? No. What the law requires, what the Farmington Declaration requires, is a level playing field. So you cannot penalize us because you don't want to be seen as partisan when clearly they are valid. For example, when DeLone and Kanga Lawrence and others went and convened a press conference and said they were announcing their own results, two things: incitement of the population, because what if citizens have responded also? But also incitement of their partisans. What if these people had jumped on the streets? What kind of sanctions or penalties did the Election Commission come up with to deal with that? Zero. And I guess they don't want to be seen as acting before they say, oh, they are acting on behalf of the ruling party. But these are the same people who, similar breath, will go to Nima and lie and say they've won. They came here live. CDC attacked Tally Center. In this age and time, the party chairman, I was joking last night, I said, somewhere else I said, the party chairman who faced looking just the sun in the sky, he the one will go with his red face and walk to SKD to go attack Tally Center, and nobody took a picture, nothing, nobody saw him. All these kinds of weaponized information, threats that if they don't win, something will happen. Dillon, for example, he made an analogy, and I unpacked that analogy the other day. He said, if you are a student and you take a test, you know what your grade is supposed to be, and you're only waiting for the teacher to validate the grade that you already know. In Dillon's analogy, the teacher is the National Election Commission. They are the students. The elections are the tests. They've taken the test. They're the students. They mark their own paper, right? They know their grade. And they expect the Election Commission to come and give the same grade that they got. And if it doesn't tally in, then there will be trouble. The Elections Commission should have taken a very strong stance on those kinds of information. When the EFF came and said that they will accept nothing less than the pronouncement of Joseph Boyka as president, or else there will be a price to pay, the Elections Commission should have taken a stance on those kinds of positions. They didn't. But on the logistical, administrative end, and probably they didn't do so because they don't want to be seen, as being allied with the administration. But citations and reactions don't have to pay that price. Because then the playing field is not level. The playing field is being skewed in favor of the opposition. But we're making this case, and we're making the Liberian people to understand all of these things that are happening. But what I can say, that our campaign is upbeat, we are excited. There is no level of worry yet. We are clear in terms of our direction. We know our projections. We know that the president is still the most popular political actor in this country, as evidenced by the results. In every county, the president has not trended below 20%. Every single county. Check the tally.
Okay, so shortly we'll open the lines, but before then, I'm sure we'll go a little over 10 o'clock. Before then, Councillor Barra, you being this spokesperson of the campaign team, or trying to distract me. The president, when he appeared at the UN General Assembly, he assured the world of holding a free, fair, and transparent, credible elections as well. He said that consistently on his campaign tour. Is it what your campaign team, is it what you've seen? Credible, fair, and free elections?
Like I said before, barring, you see, these words are loaded. Credible, free, fair, right? And there's no perfection, but there is a sincere effort to ensure that we are approaching what we call best practice, all right, in terms of elections. I think the elections have been very open. I think so. And we've been going along with that process. On the contrary, it's been the other side right from the get-go. Even before the process started, these were the people who were saying that the elections have been rigged. I wonder if they can say that today, that the elections have been rigged also. With the results we have today, where we have exhausted their stronghold in Lofa, we have exhausted their stronghold in Nimba, and we are still standing around 43% apiece. Can they say that the elections have been rigged? When we have outclassed them in Basso, where we are outclassing them in Magibi, where we are outclassed them in Bon, and we still got close to 40% of the southeastern votes still waiting to come in, will they still say that the elections have been rigged? We should be asking them. But it is a process that has generated this so far. So is it totally, snack free? I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
But yes, serious efforts have been put in, and we need to commend the Elections Commission too.
Many thanks, Minister. Let's take a few callers quick. Good morning.